Let's begin the meeting. All right. Well, first, I think I would like to set our sacred space for tonight. And I'd like to, first of all, welcome all of you who have showed up, and for all of those who are going to be on the videotape. I'm very excited to bring out the Christ codes in this way. And today's been really sort of feels like I've been in a birthing mode all day, going through birthing contractions, feeling a little bit of fear because, you know, my whole thing in throughout my life has been getting stuck behind fear. And I was brought up in a fearful environment, and so it's, you know, it's kind of raises its head whenever you want to take a big step forward. The things that challenged you on the way are going to show up and test you. So today I've been tested a lot, which has been quite interesting. But let us set our sacred space to prepare our hearts to connect with the Christ codes tonight. And so let us just connect with the love in our hearts and surround ourselves in concentric circles of beautiful pink rose to connect with our heart, sapphire, blue, white diamond to connect with the Christ energy, and golden white light to connect with the source of our light. And let us embrace that energy so that we can free ourselves from the space-time continuum and be ready and able to receive the Christ codes which are being offered this evening, to anchor them into us and to receive their divine healing and knowing within our whole entire being. And I wish to call in Mother Sophia, Divine Mother, to overlight our presence here tonight. And I would like to call in the ascended, divine feminine and masculine ascended masters, and the solar and galactic archangels who have been by my side for many, many years. And I would like to call in any beings of light that wish to assist us for the greatest good tonight to receive this great blessing. And I prayed that I will be free in my logos to give to you, to each of you, what you have intended to receive this evening. And I bless all of you for being here. And so let us begin. So just going back a little bit to my history, which I was saying earlier is, you know, I was raised in an atmosphere of fear. So every time I've tried to step out of that box, it has raised its head. And for most of my life, I've had major illness, 40 years of a life-threatening disease, which I came close to death in 2012 from that illness. And it was a very long journey. And during the journey, I lost faith. I lost faith in a source, that I was going to be healed. And I lost faith in myself. And it wasn't for the blessings of my husband, Bennett. I don't know that I would have made it out of that initiation, because it was very difficult for me. And so when I received a divine healing in 2015, I realized that if I didn't get to the root of what that energy was, that I was just going to create another life-threatening illness for myself. So I took myself up on the mountain. I live in Mount Shasta, by the way. So I took myself up to some sacred land on the mountain, and I just got down on my knees and I prayed to Source to help me to respond to my life in a new way, and to take responsibility for everything that I had created in my life. I wasn't blaming anyone for my life, although I had done that for many years. When I was early on in my search for my true identity, I put all the blame on everybody else. And so I took full responsibility for everything I had created. And at the end of my prayer, I heard Mother say, "Your prayer has been heard." And so I went home, and for the next 3 days, I was going through a major cleansing. And then shortly thereafter, my body started being upgraded to receive the Christ codes. I was in meditation, and all of a sudden the Sri Yantra imploded in my third eye, and I saw a diamond go through it. And at the time, I didn't know what was going on. I recognized the Sri Yantra because I had seen it in sacred texts before. And for those of you who do not know what the Sri Yantra is, I'm going to just share my screen for a second. This is in the way. Okay. All right. So this is a picture of the Sri Yantra. And it's this very ancient sacred symbol. In fact, it's probably the most ancient symbol that man has recorded knowledge of. And so when this image imploded in my third eye, and the diamond went through, then I had this portal, this yellow portal in front of my third eye that I could see through whenever I looked into space. And I'm going to stop sharing the screen for a moment now and get back to you guys if I can. Stop share. So shortly thereafter, I started receiving a download of energetics, which was blue diamond rays of light coming down, streaming into my body, and coming into my cells and replacing each cell with a diamond. And if you've ever seen an embryonic cell, it has 6 circles with a center circle, and then it's inside of another sphere. And so each circle held a diamond, as well as the sphere outside of it was the diamond light. And as I'm almost like watching a movie, I'm seeing this happening in my body. I saw that my carbon DNA was now being sent out of my body, and it looked like oil. It looked like oil squirting out of me, and it reminded me of the movie Lucy. If anyone's seen the movie Lucy, and as that was happening, I momentarily was frightened. I got, no, this is your new, you're getting rid of your old carbon DNA, and now you're receiving the Christ light. So that was how my body was prepared to receive the Christ codes. But unbeknownst to me, I actually received the blueprint for the Christ codes back in 1998. And in a vision that I've written about in my first book, Journey Through the Soul, SOL, I had a 3-day vision in my first Raja Yoga meditation, where Divine Mother came in and showed me the soul's journey from the birth womb, the black hole birthing womb of Mother, and how the soul is birthed out and sent out into the creation. And as we are moving out in creation, we're not conscious of who we are, and so we're moving away from creation. But as we awaken to who we are, begin to awaken to who we truly are, we start moving back to source. And when we wake up to our true identity, then we're sent out as representatives and co-creators with source. So at the time, I didn't understand the deeper meaning of that message. But 20 years later, birthing the Christ codes, I realized that was the blueprint for the Christ codes itself. And during that 20-year period, I was very involved with the soul's language of light through studies of my dreams, and breaking down the codes in my dreams so I could understand the greater meanings of the different layers of dreaming that we all go through. And so, admit someone into the room here. Okay. So basically, but that was the blueprint. And so the Christ codes is a 36 cipher, and a cipher is an encoded message. So it's a 36 cipher language based off our own alphabet. And the alphabet is, as you know, is made up of consonants and vowels. So the vowels correlate to the energy of the elements, and the consonants correlate to the blueprint that underlies all of our form. So if you're familiar with sacred geometry, the Metatron cube holds the blueprint for all life and consciousness within the universe. And that blueprint is the basis for for basically the Christ codes, and for the tree of life that is embodied within us. So this is something I'm going to be teaching in a course that I'm starting. What's today, the 29th? On March 3rd, I'm starting a course workshop where I'm going to be really going into much more of the codes. But anyway, so let me just kind of move on to my story here. So after, many, many years of exploring my dreams, 45 years to be exact, 18 years in a mystery school, 8 years of body work, countless healing modalities that I studied and used on myself, I still wasn't able to get to the basis of that fear that was the cause of so much suffering in my life. So I don't remember what year it was, but when I started really birthing the Christ codes and they started flowing in, I again went into this major fear mode. And what happened is I decided, I need someone to mentor me to explore this level of birthing that is happening, because I am experiencing something that has never been created before here on earth. And I felt very vulnerable birthing the codex. And now I think would be a good time to maybe go into the code itself. So for those of you who have been traveling with me for a while, I might have shared the code with you. It's a Christ code mantra. It's sounded out as Ak, Imu, Ovi. And I'm going to share a screen here where I will just show that to you so you can see the spelling. Where is my share screen? Here it is. Let's go back here. Okay. I hope that they can see that. And basically, the vowels that within the mantra correlate to the fiats, the root sounds of creation. So the A is symbolic of the element of fire, and the I represents the element of air. The U represents the element of water, and the O represents the element of ether. And those represent the fiats of creation, which are the decrees of Source, giving life through love, will, light, and life. So basically, when we're using the Christ Code mantra, we're calling in the 4 fiats of life and bringing that energy into our bodies, into our sphere of existence on a spiritual, physical, emotional, mental level. We are calling in this frequency. And the consonants and the vowels, I have given you just the basic energetic of what they represent. The ACC represents creative Christ consciousness that we're calling in. Imu is aligned divine masculine womb vessel. So, as a planet, we have become very off balance with the divine feminine. So the Christ mantra is calling in the balance for the divine masculine through the womb vessel, which we each have within our body, which is in the sacral chakra. From the heart and the sacral chakra unite and become this womb vessel for birthing new creations. And so the Christ codes is really an example of something that was birthed through the heart womb space of Sophia, using this vessel, Sonia, to birth it through. And the last part of the mantra is Ovi, which represents a whole receptive divine genome. And so we're asking to activate and align with our divine genetics, which are embedded within our DNA, which is part of our soul's makeup. And we are activating it through this sound of Ovi. And just to speak a little bit about language is really how we relate to reality. It's how we interface with the time-space continuum. So in our everyday language, we are using the alphabet, but we're not using it in a way that is fully utilizing its power. we're using it to create a third dimensional picture or third dimensional reality using our everyday language. But when we have a divine language, a language that's based on the underlying blueprint that's within all of form and is also connected to the foundational blueprint of life itself, then you're calling in an energetic from the quantum field and communing with your self in a way that you haven't had access to before. So the way I like to describe this is the Christ codes were basically birthed out of my need and desire to learn how to communicate with my body. So in my journey of illness, I struggled to connect to these parts of myself that were injured. And some of these injuries, as I became aware of later, were happened in the womb, happened when I was in the crib. Some of them happened in other life streams. So by having access to the Christ codes, I've actually been able to access parts of myself that have been unreachable, and that even being close to death, I was not able to bring these parts of myself to the surface. And so I realized as I moved past my fear, when I finally started mentoring someone who has actually gone through the birthing process themselves, I discovered that the Christ codes held the answer to my prayers all these years. They were giving me a way to commune directly to all the parts of myself that I've been trying to connect with on a physical, emotional, mental, spiritual, and soul level. So that's what's so powerful about the Christ codes. And what's so powerful about this Christ code mantra is that it has the ability to take the divine masculine and the divine feminine aspects of our nature and bring it into unity. So we're bringing it into unity consciousness through the Christ energy, through the Christ diamond ray. And when you speak this mantra, it actually starts pulling that Christ ray into your body. And when it does that, the energies that have been blocking your forward progress, either through viral programming or belief systems or trauma that happened to you, either in this life or in another lifetime, anything that is still locked in your body, locked in your emotional body, locked in your psyche, this mantra is going to bring it to the surface. And what's nice about it is that when it happens, it's not a traumatic event. It's like when I started really using the Christ Code mantra, it started to raise things in my consciousness. So I would be meditating or I would have a dream that would bring to memory some traumatic event that was part of the fear issue that I was dealing with all my life. And one of the main instruments or one of the main keys of the fear was behind a rape that I experienced in another live stream when I was about 3 years old. And so by using this mantra, I was able to get that to come to the surface. While I was meditating, the memory came in, and I was able to take that little girl and embrace her in my arms and really just heal that part of myself. And I can't tell you how many years I felt that I had been raped and that there was something that I just couldn't put my hands on, but I just couldn't bring it to the front of my memory. And another thing that happens is, since the Christ codes really came through my exploration of my dreams, a lot of the information that comes from me comes through from my dreams. This is not necessarily going to happen for you the same way it happened for me, because each of us has our own divine genetic blueprint, and each of us are going to receive and feel this codex in a different way. But for me, it happens a lot through my dreams, through vision, through my meditation, getting information and intuitive responses to what the codex is activating within me. And so I've actually been using the codes to birth the code itself. So once I got past the fear of birthing the code, I have been birthing the root sounds of creation for the elements, which are fire, earth, air, ether, water, plasma and bioplasma. Now, our scientists don't really consider plasma and bioplasma as an element, but using the Christ codes, I have found that they are part of the elements of creation. And my feeling is that at some point in time, science will discover that they are. So those last two pieces are a major part of the Christ codes, along with the consonants, which shape and form the sounds that make up each one of those root sounds of creation. And so again, that's going to be something that I'm going to bring in my workshop that I'm going to be starting next week. So let's just kind of explore the codes for a while. And what I do with them is I sing them as a song. And I recorded the tune, and it brings in different is it chords or tones? Different tones on the keys. And I also saw that the musical chords correlate to the Christ codes as well. So each chord relates to one of the elements. And as I was singing the song and I was recording which note I was singing, I could see that it was actually activating my first and third chakra, my fourth and sixth chakra, and then it was making it a whole loop. It was looping the energy from the root chakra all the way up to the crown chakra. So the song is simple, and I'm going to sing it for you right now. And I sung it so that you've spoken the mantra 9 times. So let me just sing it for you now. And I'm not the best singer, but bear with me. Ak imu ovi, 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 ak imu ovi. Okay, so when I'm singing it, the emphasis is on the A and the I and the O. And later on in the call, I'm going to teach you the second half of this mantra, because there is a second half. The alphabetical ciphers are working with our energetics in the quantum field on the spiritual plane, basically. But there's another side of the codex, and it's a numerical code. And it correlates to our DNA and our cellular makeup. So, and what I discovered working with the Christ code mantra is if I just sing the code and I don't anchor it into my cells with the numerical code, that I am off flying and just not anchored into the earth. So what happens when I've used the code is it really increases my energy. Anything that is not in alignment in any of the 4 bodies is zapped out of. It's just really kind of zapped out of the picture. And the way I like to describe it is, I call it an electromagnetic pulse. And if any of you have seen the movie The Matrix, they had this red button which put out an electromagnetic pulse. And when it did that, the artificial intelligence that was invading their world was knocked out of commission. And that's really what the codes do. They send out this energetic pulse that takes out the viral programming that is embedded within our cells, within our psyche, within our DNA, and allows the Christ vibration to now come in. So I even had a dream about it where the pulse came in and I had stuff coming out of my root chakra and stuff coming out of my crown chakra, and it almost looked like living tissue. And so there are some systems that the pulse, when it comes in, is so disorienting that you're in a kind of a daze, maybe for quite a period of time, as your system is adjusting and adapting to these frequencies. But I find that the Christ Code mantra is really designed to come in only to the level that your body's ready to receive it. It's not going to overtax you as long as you use the DNA sequence, which is the numeric sequence, to ground it in. So every time I say the Christ Code mantra, I follow it up with the DNA sequence to root it into the cells of my body. So I think I want to just open up the call for a moment to see if we have any questions before I go further. And also, let me see. I'm going to stop sharing. And we're going to say the mantra together. But before we do that, I would like to, I'm just going to, let's see, make everyone visible here. Mute all, see, how do I do that? Anyway, why don't we just have someone raise their hand if they have any questions? Otherwise, we will continue to move forward.
I have a question, Sonia.
Okay.
You can't make me visible because I don't use a camera.
Okay. Fantastic. We don't have to have faces. I just wanted to. I gave Paulus the mantra last week, and so after your question, I was kind of curious as to how it's been going with you.
So my question is, the mantra is easy to remember, and I can recite it whenever, but the numerical sequence I don't have in my memory, so I can only repeat that if I'm looking at it. So from what you just said would make me not want to say the mantra unless I could immediately follow it up with the numerical code. Like if I'm driving, for instance, I might be saying the mantra, but I would think I wouldn't do that because I couldn't follow with the numerical code.
Well, you don't have to, I mean, it's best to follow it after you say it, but you can say it, when you're in a more, in a place where you can look at it. The code is easy to remember. So let me just bring it up on the screen since we're talking about it. Let me share the screen again.
And I do have another question.
Okay. Why don't you go ahead now
and. When I'm saying the mantra or I'm doing the numerical sequence, I have in my hands some, I think they're called Rasaka beads. But they're just to help me remember to do, for instance, the mantra 9 times and then repeat it 12 different times, because I've gotten up to 12 days.
Okay.
So because I'm concentrating on the beads, moving one bead at a time, I'm not being very meditative within myself because I'm concentrating on holding and moving the bead.
Right. Okay, I get it. I had that experience, so that's why I created this song. Because the song, I know when I sing the song, I've said it 9 times. And I know that if I sing the song 12 times, then I've said it 108 times, which is the mala bill, the whole, that's how many beads are on the mala necklace, prayer beads. There are 108 beads on the mala, prayer beads. So, and another way that I keep track of it is using the Sri Yantra. So the Sri Yantra has, let me pull that up again. The Sri Yantra has 9 levels to it. You have the outer square, which is the first level. You have the circle, which is the second. The third is this, actually the Sri Yantra to me is the flower of life. You have the square, the circle, the the flower of life. You have the outer circle, which has 6 circles, and then the inside circle has another 6 circles. And then you have the geometric forms that are inside of the Metatron cube, which are these 7 pyramids. And so basically they are 9 levels within the Sri Yantra. So, and the Sri Yantra is an ancient Sanskrit sound meditation tool, which many people have used to manifest through, or as a way to go into a deeper meditation. And I like to use the Christ Code mantra with the Sri Yantra because they are magnifying the power of the other. So the Sri Yantra is actually a visual picture of what happens when we're going into 0 point. And so it's this whole spiral energy that's taking us into source point. And when we are contemplating the Sri Yantra as we're speaking the Christ Code mantra, then we are accelerating its power. And the mantra itself is very easy. And if you're just singing it with a song, all you have to do is count 9 beats. So you're not, or you can count 9 fingers, so it's very easy to keep track of the mantra. And then after I finish the mantra, then I do the numerical sequence. And so here's the numerical sequence. I'm going to bring that back onto the screen again. Now the numerical
Can I
sequence.
ask a question?
Sure. Who's this?
You gave us, this is Patricia.
Hi, Patricia.
You gave us, hi, sweetie. You gave us A, I, U, and O. But I'm wondering what E corresponds to with respect to the elements of creation.
Earth.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay, thank you.
Yes. I'm sorry. I forgot that you don't have a visual picture because you're on the phone. So
I don't.
I'm sorry, but I will send you a copy of this video so you'll be able to see all of this.
Lovely, thank you.
When we're done tonight. Okay, so just so you'll understand this, the DNA sequence, the numerical sequence, is surrounded by zeros because we're bringing it into source point. So the number 1 correlates to the letter or to the element of A, which is fire. And 3 corresponds to C, which is the Christ energy. And so we are surrounding each number with a 0. So if you just learn the number 133, 943, 647, and then when you say it, you just surround each of those numbers with zeros. For me, it's much easier to remember how to do the numerical sequence, the DNA sequence. And once you memorize the basic numbers, then it's very easy to do, just flow with them. Once it's in your mind, it's like, oh, it's a pattern that's already set, and you'll just be able to repeat it. And that's one way to use the codes. Okay, you don't have to understand what the sounds mean, what the letters mean. They're going to work whether you understand them or not. But to go deeper into the codex is to actually slow down and feel the energy of each sound as it's going into your body. So a living light language, which is what the Christ codes are, is basically rays of light coming in to us through the sun. And the Christ energy is so powerful, it actually comes through the center of our sun. And I'm a sun gazer, and in my, I'm going to mute Ori. I'm going to mute Ori. Let's see, hold on a second. Where's Ori? As a sun gazer, I was able to see that the Christ energy comes through the center of our sun because it is so powerful. The sun filters it into our world so that we can handle it. Now, as we receive the Christ rays through the mantra, when you work with the sound and explore it moving into your body, you can feel the energy of it going into each one of your cells. When I use the A, ah, ak, and I allow me to experience that sound, I feel it come into my heart chakra, and it lights it up, it turns it on. And when I use the sound emu, I feel like my whole chakra system just lines up, because the I is alignment. And I can actually feel that energy going up from my heart, going up and down, and aligning me and extending and expanding the sphere around my heart. And then when I say OV, I actually feel the whole field of energy expanding out into the universe. And while I was using this mantra, I could see that it was taking in the whole universe within me. The Ak is like a spiral that is activating the divine masculine. Hold on a second, I have to let someone in the room. I'm going to stop sharing. Okay. All right, I'm sorry about that. So I'm going to share the screen again. All right. So I could see that this just wasn't affecting my body. It was affecting the whole universe within me. And there are some ancient mantras that we are familiar with that only relate to the one aspect, the divine feminine or the divine masculine. But the Christ Code actually calls in the whole being that you are. Your divine masculine and your divine feminine sides are brought into unity consciousness. So this is a way to really simplify the communication with your body, and to go into the recesses of your cells, your genes, your electrons, by following the sound that you're making into your body. It's an exploration. And so the quick way, when you're just saying it very quickly, you're going to feel, for me, I felt a lot of energy, and I have actually tracked the energy of the mantra through a system called a Bovis measurement. And this measurement device was created back in the early 1900s by a man named Bovis. I don't remember his first name. And he was able to measure the frequency, the spiritual vibration of things using this measurement. And a couple of years ago, I was at a WESAC festival in Mount Shasta, and this man had this looked like a board, like almost some kind of a short little surfboard, and he had you stand on it. And when you stood on it, it realigned your frequency, and he measured it with a pendulum. That's right. He was using a pendulum, and he had these charts that you could measure the frequency, and you can actually get these charts on the internet if you look up Bovis charts. And so I decided that I'm a spiritual scientist, so I decided that I was going to research what this frequency was doing to my spiritual body. And the first day I measured it, I was at 9,000 Bovis units, which was the frequency of a normal, healthy person. And then afterwards, I said the mantra, and my Bovis unit went up to 1 million. So that was like, oh my God, this is powerful. I went from 9,000 to 1 million after just using the mantra once. And actually, it wasn't once, it was the series of 9. So for ever since, every day I chart what mantras I'm using, how many times I'm using them, and I track my energy vibration to see where I am on this Bovis chart. And I started at 9,000, and I am now 10 to the 253rd power. I mean, I am off the charts. I don't even know what you would call that. If you join the class, I'll give you access to these website addresses where you can actually do your own research on this information. For this call, it's not really what I want to cover. So I would like us to explore, if you will, the code right now, and just see how we experience it in our body. just a little demonstration. So when you say, since everyone's on mute, you can do this in the privacy of your room, and just feel the energy and where it's going into your body when you say the sound ak, ak, ak. Now for me, I feel it in my heart, and then it goes immediately down into my solar plexus, shoots down. Does anyone else want to share what their experience is? I'm going to take you off of mute here. Okay, I have Bennett, my husband, is not on the screen with me, but he's in the room, and you're going to have to come closer so you can get into the microphone.
Hi. When I did it like just now, it was more, for me, it was in my throat chakra and upper chest.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Would you like to share any of your experiences using the code? You've been using it for quite a while now, right?
Yeah. Well,
Hey, Jack.
it's been kind of dramatic. When I first started doing it, inevitably it would lighten I felt in my body, the density of my body being lightened up, more rarefied, I guess. And I had some more energy, regardless of where I was at prior to doing the mantra. And then recently, I've started doing the mantra with a much more specific focus and intention for either I'm having some kind of recurring pain in my body, so I wanted to use the mantra to both help alleviate that pain and also to reveal perhaps its energetic source. And the first time I did that, the pain, at least for a while, just disappeared, went away. And so I'm pretty excited about it because I feel that it has the ability to bring to the surface these deeper energetics, which are, for me as well, very difficult to reach. I haven't been able to. So this is helping to bring them to the light.
To the surface, right? Right. Fantastic. All right. Anyone else would like to share who has been, Patricia or Paulus, anything you would like to share with your experience thus far? Anyone?
I felt like Bennett. It settled in the throat chakra and then moved into the heart.
That is okay. All right.
And
So let's see.
my experience in saying
I covered everything that I
the
wanted.
first part of the mantra was a grounding experience.
So the codes are continually birthing. There's, as of right now, there are 7 root sounds of creation, and we have a whole alphabet that is the energetics for the root sounds. And I will, in this upcoming class, I'm going to reveal how to use the alphabet in your intention. So it's really important when you're using the codex, not only just to say the mantra to activate the Christ energy within you, but when you use it with an intention, you're actually bringing it into a 0 point focus for the energetics of the Christ to now start working. So as I was sharing earlier, the codes were birthed out of my need to have a language to communicate to these parts of myself. And so that is what they were designed for. And so when you really start using them with intention, and for those of us who are getting ready to birth our own creation into the world, this can be a very powerful tool. And as I was saying, I've been using the codes to birth the code itself. When I'm working on something, I'll ask my higher self, okay, what element do I need to work with to manifest this or to heal this or whatever it is that is my intention. And I'll get guidance as to which root sounds that I need to work with, which elements I need to work with in that particular intention. And then I have, the root sounds have, are based on the Trinity blueprint. So each root sound has its own sound based off of a vowel and 2 consonants. And that is birthed out of the 36 ciphers, which is the foundation of the whole language itself. So in my upcoming workshop, I'm going to be revealing the whole alphabet, the whole 36 cipher alphabet, and the numerical ciphers that go along with that to actually go into 0 point within your DNA structure, your cells, your molecules, all of that. And this might sound fantastic to some people, but I look at it as a computer system where you have a language of codes that communicate to the computer system, which would be like your body is the brain, your body is the system itself, and the essence of the code speaks to the blueprint that underlies your form. So it's a direct communication from source to the energetics behind the form, if that makes sense. And so that's what's so powerful about this codex. It's simple, it's powerful, and when you start understand it and work with it with intention, it has the power to create miracles in your life. I feel like it has the power for us to, when we fully utilize this system with our intentions while we're birthing, as we're accessing this divine genetics within our own being, we are waking up the blueprint of why we were born as a soul. You know, we each have this heroic journey that we've been on through multiple live streams, and we have a purpose, you might say, for being here, especially in this timing. This is the end of a 26,000 year cycle where we have an opportunity to ascend with Mother Earth into a new world and into Christ consciousness for the golden age of miracles. And so this language is really designed for the coming age that we're moving into, to help us bypass all the viral programming, belief systems, and trauma clots that we have been exposed to through many live streams, to help us just shed all that stuff through this electromagnetic pulse that works through the codes and just blast it out of our system. And I can only say that it's been a wondrous journey and experience for me to experience these codes. I work with them every day, and I just am amazed at the energy and the transformation I feel and the power I feel using them. In fact, I didn't really understand the power of the DNA sequence, and so I wasn't really utilizing it in the beginning. And I got to the point where I could only sleep 4 hours a night because I was so like just high on life. And I was, if you ask my husband, I'm one of these super sensitive persons. You give me a little drop of chocolate and I just like I was launched off a a rocket pad. And I was acting like that, and I wasn't having any chocolate. So I realized that I needed to anchor. I really found the reason why I had the numerical DNA sequence, and I really started to use it. And once I started to anchor the energy into my body, then I went back to my normal sleeping cycle, and I still felt energized, jazzed, and happy and excited about life, but I was anchored into the earth at the same time instead of just like flying around. So I hope that you enjoy this little presentation of the Christ codes. It's kind of hard to share it live when we're all on telephones and things like that. But like I said, I am having a 6-week course starting next week. And it's on my website, christcodes.com. If you go to the service window, let's see, I'm gonna share it on screen here for a moment. Okay, I hope everyone can see this screen. All right. On the services page of my website at christcodes.com, move this out of the way. Move this out of the way. I give a whole breakdown of what you can expect to receive in the workshop. It's a 6-week workshop, and I'm going to have a module 1 week, and 2 weeks later we're going to have a live class. So it's going to be 3 modules and 3 live classes. In the first module, I'm going to bring in the principal foundations of the Christ codes, and it's basically, you know, as I was birthing the codes, I just started writing and recording everything that was coming in so that I could preserve it. And so I'm going to be sharing those writings with you. And then in the live class, we're going to address any questions you might have about that. And then we're going to go into the Christ code mantras seated within the root sounds of creation. We're going to explore more the elements and how powerful they are and what they're related to. Then the second module, we're gonna explore the 36 ciphers and their energetic essence, and then we're gonna have a live class where we're gonna actually work with the sounds and the resonance and explore it in a live class where we can see one another and do it together. And then in module 3, we're going to talk more about the Christ codes and sacred geometry, and I'm going to bring in some of the connections to the tree of life and how it relates to the sacred geometry. And it's very exciting, the sacred geometry part of it. And then the last class, I forgot to tell you, we have chakra musical skills for embodying your crystalline light body, and that is pretty much, once you start using the Christ code mantra, the next step is using the chakra sounds. And the chakra sounds are designed to open, cleanse, and align them and allow so that Christ frequency can come in more clearly. So we have 29 chakras. The heart center is basically the 0 point, and the first, you might say the first chakra. And then there's 14 chakras above and 14 chakras below. So there's 14 chakras that go into the earth and 14 chakras that go above, into our higher centers. So we'll be talking about that and exploring the sounds, the chakra sounds. They're so powerful. I mean, every time I use the chakra scale for my own work, it brings up some layer of myself that I haven't been able to reach, or I didn't even know about, some live stream that needs to be brought into consciousness and healed. And like I said, for me, a lot of it comes in through my dreams, but sometimes it comes in through meditation. And it's really exciting when I go to bed and I have an intention of wanting some clarity on a particular thing that I'm working on with the codes, or some clarity in my own life, and I say one of the mantras, which I'm guided as to which one to say, and when I wake up, it's like a miracle. It's like I get clear and consistent answers every time I use the codes. And so I just, after a life of struggling and praying and crying and wanting to to get the answers to the things that were the riddles of my own life, I'm so pleased that the codes are the instrument for that, and I feel like they can be a great instrument for others who are resonating with this message. So if you are, I hope that you will check out my website and go to the services page, and you can read all about the course that's coming on the 3rd. I have a special that's running right now. It's normally $299, but I'm taking $100 off this course. And for those who are at this meeting tonight, I will gift you $50 off the registration price, because part of the gift that was put out before was I was going to give you these codes, but I've already given you the codes, so I wanted to give you something more. So I'm actually dropping the price. So it'll be $150 for 6 weeks over a period of 2 months to join the workshop and learn all about the Christ codes and how you can utilize them in your life, and just see for yourself how powerful they are, and what an instrument for change they can be, not only for you and your own personal well-being, but also how we can use them in instruments to really bring some relief into our world, to say prayers for Mother Sophia, and to do some really great work together for the planet. And I just also wanted to announce that on, what is it, July 14th?
21st.
July 21st
22nd.
and 22nd, my husband and I are going to be speakers at the Best of Mount Shasta. And I will be presenting some aspect of the Christ codes probably, and my husband is going to be presenting.
Quantum potentials in human.
Can you speak up?
I will be talking about quantum potentials in human development.
And then afterwards, on the following Monday, we're going to be giving a workshop together where we're going to be integrating what he does and what I do, because he is the master of bringing complex subjects in a very simple and concrete way. And me, I'm out here in the cosmos bringing in codes, and together I feel like we have a great balance where he can lay the foundation for what I want to bring in about the codes, because the codes can be a little daunting to some people, and I'm always endeavoring to bring them down and bring them in their most basic and simple form so that they're understood. But anyway, I hope that we'll see you either in the workshop next week, or maybe at Mount Shasta. Okay. So before I wrap up the call, I'm going to stop sharing the screen and see if I'm going to unmute everyone to see if there's any questions.
Just a comment, Sonia.
All right.
Can you hear me?
Wait. Or unmute it. Okay. So if we don't have any questions, let's see, this person is still unmuted. Okay.
Can you hear me, Sonia?
All right. I'm not hearing anyone raising their hand or speaking up.
Someone is
No, I
trying
can't
to
get them to
speak
come
up.
off of unmute. Unmute all. Okay, folks. So I hope you enjoyed this presentation, and I want to wish all of you a very pleasant evening. And I want to thank those of you who stayed up really late to be on this call this evening. And thank you so much.
Thank you,
Bless you all.
Sonia. It was lovely. Thank you, Bennett.
Thank you. Good night.